Welcome back to Askewed Reviews. And since we're still working on finishing up those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles films, here is the 2019 action adventure animated comedy film Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Here is your trivia question for today. What are the online handles for Batgirl and Donatello? The answers will be at the end of this video. So our film starts off with the Foot Clan, which they're in a very odd place, Gotham City. They are trying to steal some technology from a company, which just so happens to have Barbara Gordon there at the time, which is lucky for the scientists. Barbara also runs into a couple of metahumans that end up being the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but doesn't know which side they're on at first. There's also a point where Batman runs into the Shredder, and unfortunately gets his butt kicked by the Shredder. We also discover that Shredder is not working alone in Gotham City. He's working along with Ra's al Ghul. That's right, I said Ra's. I don't care what anyone else says. There's a point in the film where Batman meets with the Ninja Turtles, and since they don't know which side each other is on, they end up fighting. The Turtles eventually do sneak their way into the Batcave, where they eventually have a meeting with the Bat family, where both sides discover that they're on the same side. But these two groups aren't the only one making friends, as the Shredder and Ra's are also teaming up with the Joker, as the Joker is interested in the mutagen, and they're interested in his Joker serum. So eventually the Bat family and our heroes in a half shell do show up to the Arkham Asylum. They're hoping to possibly just run into some of Batman's rogues gallery. They end up finding a lot more, as all of the rogues gallery have been turned into mutants. So now the real question becomes, can our heroes not only stop the mutants, but also manage to stop the Shredder and Ra's from having their Cloud Seeder rain down mutagen and serum onto all of the unsuspecting people of Gotham City? This film is directed by Jake Castorina. The concept for the film came from an actual crossover between IDW and DC Comics, where they actually had Batman and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles meet and have a few issues together. Technically, before this film came out, you actually could see what a versus between these two teams was like, as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were DLC characters for Injustice 2, where you could fight Batman and the rest of the Bat family. There is a reference in this film you may or may not have caught. There is a news broadcast that is done by News 52, which is definitely a reference to the New 52, which was a very popular rebranding or redoing of the DC Comics series. There's also a scene in this film which is a direct quote from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles' Secret of the Ooze. At one point, the Turtles are eating a bunch of pizza, and Alfred asks them if they want napkins, and they say, "What for?" The exact same line of dialogue occurs between April and the Turtles in Secret of the Ooze. Speaking of April, I don't have the picture here, but at one point, when we're inside the Turtle van, you can see a calendar on the wall inside there that shows the month of April, which is more than likely a nod to the character April O'Neil, who wasn't in this film. There's also a fun nod to the 80s cartoon series. While Donatello and Michelangelo are on the Cloud Seeder trying to stop it, Michelangelo shouts to Donatello, "You do machines," which is of course a reference to the theme song from the 80s series, where the theme song does say Donatello does machines. Raphael's motorcycle does have quite the resemblance to multiple variations of the character Metalhead that has appeared throughout different Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated series and comic books. The Zeppelins you see flying around Gotham City are absolutely a reference to Batman the Animated Series, which had Zeppelins pretty much everywhere. The mutated version of Batman definitely has quite the striking resemblance to Man-Bat, a common villain of Batman. At one point in the film, Bane mentions that he's the one who broke Batman, which of course is referencing the fact that in the comic books, he actually broke Batman's back, so this apparently takes place after that point. Here's another comic book reference. During the fight with Ra's, Ra's says to the Turtles, Batman sends children to do the work for him, and that another must die to teach him the follies of his way. This is of course referencing the situation where Jason Todd was killed, so this apparently has already occurred as well. Troy Baker in the film is the voice for both Batman and for Joker. He has actually had some experience with both of them. As Batman, he was Lego Batman in the Lego Batman video game, and he was also Batman in the Telltale Batman game series as well. He was Joker in the video game Batman Arkham Origins. He was also Joker in Batman Assault on Arkham, the animated film. Eric Bauza, who does the voice of Leonardo in this film, has definitely had some experience with the Turtles. For instance, he did some additional voices in the 2012 animated series. He did the voice of Donatello in an animated short from 2016 called Dawn vs. Raph. Also in 2016, he did another animated short called Turtles Take Time and Space, where he did the voice of Leonardo in that one. And in the most recent animated series called Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, he does the voice of Splinter and various other voices. Darren Criss does the voice of Raphael for this film, and had a little bit of experience doing Raphael, as he was also in Turtles Take Time and Space, the short from 2016. Baron Vaughn does the voice of Donatello, and this would be his first foray into the world of the Turtles. The same can be said for Kyle Mooney, who did the voice of Michelangelo. Andrew Kashino, who does the voice of the Shredder, also did some additional voices in the 2012 series. Kaz Anvar does the voice of Ra's al Ghul. Rachel Bloom does the voice of Batgirl, and this is actually one of her first times doing voiceover work. Ben Giraud does the voice of Damian Wayne / Robin. Brian George does the voice of Alfred, and this is actually his second time doing so. He also played Alfred in the animated film Batman the Killing Joke. Tara Strong does the voice of Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. In fact, she's done Harley Quinn so many times that I'm not even going to show all the pictures or examples. Jim Meskimen does the voice of Jim Gordon and the Scarecrow. And in fact, he actually has played Jim Gordon once before in the animated film Batman Gotham Knight. Keith Ferguson does the voice of Two-Face and Baxter Stockman. In fact, Baxter Stockman's voice is supposed to be a reference to Jeff Goldblum in the movie The Fly. Tom Kenny does the voice of the Penguin, and this is also his second time doing so, as he did the Penguin on the animated series The Batman. John DiMaggio does the voice of Mr. Freeze in this film, and he also did Mr. Freeze on the animated series Batman the Brave and the Bold. Carlos Alazraqui does the voice of Bane in this film, and also did the voice of Bane in Justice League Doom. There have definitely been talks of doing a sequel to this movie, and apparently if they do so, it would deal a lot more with the Turtles side of stuff this time around, possibly even involving characters like Rocksteady and Bebop and Krang, although they definitely have to deal with what happened with Shredder at the end of the film. So when it comes to the film Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I didn't realize how much I needed this crossover. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a bunch of fun. So I'm going to give this film a 4 out of 5. And come on, it's worth it just to see Batman eat pizza and say the word cowabunga. Now, as for the trivia question from the beginning of this episode, what are the online handles for Batgirl and Donatello? Batgirl's handle is Oracle, and Donatello's is Bow Staffs Are Cool, which both of these are references. Oracle is of course a reference to the fact that at one point in the comics, Batgirl gets handicapped and becomes the character Oracle. And Donatello has a little nod towards the character of Doctor Who, specifically played by Matt Smith, who continually says that bow ties are cool. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews. If there's a movie you'd like to see get a review, just mention it in the comments. And as always, like, comment, share, and subscribe.